This is a quick walkthrough of the Chapter 10 lab in case you missed anything or you want to walk through the code with explanation as we go. Chapter 10 lab, we're deriving classes from an existing class using the extend keyword. We're defining class hierarchy using that in a program, building a project. We're going to use derived class objects and make the copy constructor. And this discussion of this lab is we have two classes defined for us, and we have to make a new class called checking account. And we're also going to make savings account subclasses. We are making them completely from scratch. The only code you have is the code for bank account and then the driver code to check for errors. We're going to be writing some methods in there. Let's get started by just looking at the UML diagram. This is given to us, a more substantial superclass than some of the examples in the book. And whenever you're doing a superclass, you want to have as many as you can of the general purpose methods here. Well, basically anything that's general purpose, you want to put in the superclass. Only the specialized information for subclasses should be in their subclass. And if you find a function that or a method that you need in a subclass and you realize, hey, that should be useful in other subclasses, then you put the method in the superclass instead. So based on this UML diagram, let's go ahead and create the checking account code. Pop over here to Eclipse. I'm going to do this completely from scratch. I have worked through it. I know the solution works. But to close those projects, right-click. After selecting them, right-click, Close Projects. That way, if I hit the Go button, it's not confused as to what program I'm running. And we're making a new Java project. Giving it a name. You use your name, and I'll call this 10 video. Go with the default settings everywhere else. There I have my project. Open it up to my source code. This is where I want to drag my source code into. I have downloaded it and I have it in a folder. There's my two files. I'm going to select those, drag them into my project, doing the copy. Okay, don't worry, we'll have errors because we don't have all the code to go with there. We don't have our subclasses. So we want to declare that subclass. Let's go back and look at that diagram. Get our class name exactly right, checking account. There we go. So we're going to do a new, go up here, new class. The name is checking account, capital C. No public static, just a regular class. Since I know it's going to extend bank account, I add the keyword right there. All right. Now let's check our UML. Fee, private, because it's a negative sign. Type double, name fee. Now in the code, later on we'll see we are going to initialize that to a certain value, but I'm just going to go by this first. I'll come back then and add the details. So checking account, taking two parameters, and it's public. String, double. Use the same variable names just to match, and then a withdraw of an amount returns Boolean. There's my constructor. You can have an empty constructor. There's no code required, but as soon as we're returning something, it will complain unless I'm returning something. And for now, I'm going to return true and change this later. So I don't have any errors, obvious errors. Okay, we'll be changing this. So I satisfy the UML diagram for checking account. Now we're ready to do the savings account. We've got 3 private variables in this one. Let's get our class exactly spelled correctly, and then the 3 private variables. All right, so come up here, new class. Get it spelled exactly right. Always double check in case you're not sure. All right, private variables, double rate int savings number. And private string account number. Don't like that name for a variable, but they've told us that's what we use. Makes me worry that I'm going to treat that as a number when it's a string. Remember, this is a string. I would prefer to call it like account ID or something. Okay, now our methods. 4 methods, 2 constructors. You can see this one's going to be a copy constructor because it takes a savings account as a parameter. So just like the bank account constructor, takes a name and amount. And I'm going to put a little comment here. I forgot this when I was first looking at this. Name is the owner's. It's not the account ID. It's the owner's name. Okay. And a overloaded constructor. Different signature because it has different parameters. And double amount. Constructors don't need any type return. Now we have post interest and get account number. One's void and one is a string. Takes no parameters. Oops. And withdraw. Returned, or sorry, get account number. Because it'll give me error unless I return something, I'm going to return an empty string for now. Change later. Okay, so there I have my classes as defined in the UML diagram. All right, I'll stop there for part 1. We'll do the code in part 2.